Hello, Boone County. This is your Superintendent Matt Turner. I'm here to have a conversation with Chief Tom Grau of the Florence Police Department. We're going to talk about school safety and the work that the Florence Police Department does with all of our schools in Florence. So, Chief Grau, thank you. Appreciate your time.
I appreciate you asking me to be here. Absolutely.
Great. Just a couple questions for you. Now,
Sure.
we're very grateful, we're very thankful of the long relationship that our school district has had with the Florence Police Department. Is there anything you want to talk about, some of the history and some of the work that we've done over the years?
We can go back a long time. For the history buffs, schools in and around the city and the county started in the early 1800s. But officially, the first public school was Boone County High School, and that was in 1954. So if you think about it, since 1954, and that first class was probably 55, that was the first public school. And since then, we have had a great partnerships where it leads us to today. We have 5 elementary, 2 middle, and 1 high school in the city limits. So we do a lot of work with those. Our philosophy, our goals of interacting with the school comes from our leadership. If you take a look in the history of the city, our city council members, the mayor, even the past council members and mayor, they are a product of Boone County school system, and they're proud of it, and they should be. It's a great system. So as a leader of the police department, my officers know. I want them in the schools. I want them making contacts. We have great families in the city, great students, amazing teachers and schools, and any chance we get to have a positive impact on a child, we're going to take that opportunity, because they're the future of the city. These kids are going to be growing up, and they're going to be living in the city. They're going to be running our businesses. They're going to be running our communities, whether it's religious, whether it's a civic, and it's important for us to build that communication, those bridges now, and they know that, and so we take every opportunity. And that's, you talk about whether it's minor or major. It goes from, if one of the schools is taking a trip to one of the local parks in the city, we're going to be there. If they're needing a little bit more school speed enforcement, we're going to be there. If it's walking the halls every day, that's what we're going to do. And obviously, we have a strong tie with our DARE program as well.
Chief Grau, talk about how you collaborate with our school principals in implementing the DARE program.
Yeah, I'm very proud of that DARE program, so I might go off here for a little bit on a tangent. But long story short, the DARE program was started in 1983 by LAPD. It started as a 17-lesson course, and the idea behind it was to get a human face from the badge into the schools and having that contact with students. And also by serving a purpose of DARE stood for Drug Abuse Resistant Education. So that's when it really started. Late 80s, they started spreading across the country, and that's when we had started getting into the schools at the elementary level. And typically today, it's the 5th grade level that we teach at. It has evolved as well for the students. A little bit in the 90s, DARE took a little bit of a hit where people were leaving the program or not getting out of the program. There's some statistics speaking that maybe it wasn't as effective with drug and alcohol resistance as kids get older, but we stayed with it. And I think one of the reasons is you miss that contact that local law enforcement have and with the youth. And I can tell you, just from somebody who's coached middle school, high school, and especially if it's city school students, the first thing we want to talk about is their DARE officer. Hey, is DARE officer so-and-so still working? How's he doing? So you cannot measure the impact that has, and that's why we stayed with it. Little over in the early 2000s, DARE took a step back and decided to look at the program and evaluate it for the modern students and make some changes. They put a lot of time and effort into it. The actual curriculum is called Keeping It Real, that they developed in the early 2000s. And the overall goal now is, it's still heavy on drug abuse and resistance, but the overall goal for our officers and students is to help them to make good decision-making skills and develop those skills. And that's what the curriculum is based off of. The curriculum has expanded. It has changed from just strictly a lecture setting to a very interactive, scenario-based. It's helping these students develop the decision-making they need. And whether that's drugs, and we've added, obviously, over the years, different drugs have come into to our communities, whether that's opioid and prescriptions, alcohol, tobacco. Obviously, another big item right now is vaping, so we cover that. What I really impressed on when they changed the curriculum, there's a whole lesson on bullying. There's a whole lesson on communication skills, which that also they teach about, hey, texting and emailing, the ins and outs, what's probably not good or what's bad. And there's also a section on stress. We talk about mental health and the need for that at earlier ages when kids are having issues. And sometimes maybe those kids at that level don't understand when you talk about mental health or anxiety, but when we talk in that lesson on stress and they identify maybe some of the symptoms of that, whether they're having it, whether their friends are having it, and it's important for them to know, hey, you can reach out if you need that. So it's evolved to meet the modern student needs. And we are currently in the 5 elementary schools and St. Paul, so we do 6, and it's always at the 5th grade level. And I can tell you every year, that's about 800 to 900 students that receive that training. And we're proud of it.
Well, we have school SROs in all of our schools. What are some other ways that the Florence Police Department works with our schools in Florence?
Another organization we have inside the police department is our community resource division. We've had that for a long time. It's a very important part of our department because anything that affects community outreach, helping businesses, helping schools, they're responsible, and we have a supervisor in charge of that. We assign 2 officers to that, and they are certified DARE instructors. Since we have 6 schools that we teach at, they're each given 3. That's their school, which just like an SRO, they take pride in it. That belongs to them. It's important for them. They reach out to the principals, and then they meet with the 5th grade staff. They come up with, it's a 10-week course, so whatever fits best with their school individually, whether it's fall or more towards the spring where they teach it, and they set up dates and times when they come in. And nothing has slowed us down. Not even with COVID. We were doing Zoom DARE classes. We're not gonna let that stop us either. So, and if you haven't been to one, DARE graduations are a very upbeat, positive, and if you want to see if that's really worth it, you just come to one of those, and it's an exciting thing. So we enjoy it.
In light of the events in Texas and other events around the country, obviously school safety is a top priority, and a lot of parents, a lot of employees, everyone is concerned about making sure our schools are safe, making sure our students are safe. If you could give some advice to our parents about school safety and safety in general, what would that be? What would you tell our parents, our community members?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hot topic, and it can be a very emotional topic that's out there. I mean, in today's information age, we are getting inundated with when something like this happens. And it can be very scary, and it can be traumatic to students and parents that causes stress and anxiety and worry about those incidents. I can tell you as a parent, I've had 3 kids through the Boone County school system, and they've been all over the place. Ackerman, Stevens, Camp Ernst, Boone County High School. There has not been one day that I have felt that my kids were not safe and didn't send them to school. And that's as the chief of police in the city. So, I want to honestly take the time to assure parents we have one of the best SRO programs around, and I mean that, and I truly do that. And the school board puts in resources and a lot of time with the school safety committee, which we're all a part of. And we do school safety walkthroughs, and we are taking the steps. And I think that's important. But as a parent, which I am also, there can be anxiety and stress when these things happen. But I want them to know that, these things and how we're going to attack them is everybody together. We all have to do better. And what we're finding is on these events, it seems to be a repetitive thing. The child or involved has some sort of abuse or trauma in their life. There's bullying, there's mental health issues, may have been showing some signs, whether they're acting out or saying something. And I think it's important just to stay vigilant, talk to your students if they're having some sort of stress, anxiety, but also we need to know that, hey, if you see something, say something, and call. Sometimes we think maybe, it's just some kid acting out, but if it's worrying you, concerning you, I assure you need to really maybe reach out to your school or to your local law enforcement. That's really what what needs to be done. I mean, needs to be, I think, at different levels. Everybody has to take a look at what they're doing and the preventive measures. But I think that's what's important, and to stay vigilant. And if you have questions or concerns, by all means, reach out.
Sounds great. Great advice. Really appreciate the comment you made about if you see something, say something, because school safety it's a community issue that we all have to have a part in.
Right, and you see in a lot of them, I hate to say it, they're falling through the cracks. Some things, yeah, we knew he had issues, but we didn't want to say something, or we said something before, nothing happened. It doesn't matter. I mean, I don't care if you said something 3 months ago and then something happens again. You need to still reach out because that's important for us that we can. Identify issues and get kids the help they need, and that's another topic of mental health and the availability of it and getting the help they need.
And over the years, we've started to develop a process where we really look for assessing students that may be in challenging situations or may have some trauma, as you mentioned. So we pay close attention to that as a school system, and that's been very beneficial for us to try to provide some resources and try to provide some help to some of our families.
Absolutely. And if they're not aware, KSP, we got a new form. It's the Handle with Care that when we deal on the road as law enforcement and there's a child involved in some sort of trauma or abuse, that report's completed. It's very a quick action that goes to the schools and identify them just in case that student needs some help down the line with whatever trauma or abuse that they're in.
I think that's a great
Absolutely.
Mechanism there, because as school principals, it gives them that information directly about an issue that that principals need to know about, of what's going on with that student in their life right now.
Absolutely, and the key is that intervention. And the sooner you get it, the better off we're all going to be, and that student's going to be.
Well, thank you for your time. I really appreciate the work that you do with our schools and the work that you do for our community, but also taking this time just to chat a little bit.
Absolutely, I enjoy it. And if you could take the kids back next week, I'll send mine. I'm ready.
Thank you very much. One last thing is I just want to mention that if anyone has any concerns about school safety, we do have a school safety hotline that's on our website. You can call and you'll get answered 24 hours a day. Those messages will go directly to the school system. We vet all those and we look through all of those messages and investigate all the information that's brought to us, and we take action on that. So again, if you see something, say something. Let's do everything we can to make sure that we keep our students and our staff safe in our schools. Thank you.